Goodness gracious. So many applications, so little time. Oh? What's this now? A submission to the Nowhere Press. Interesting. Well, let's see what they've sent us. About how. This is a story about how I fell in love. How I fell in love with notebooks when I first touched one, but didn't realize until age 12. How I fell in love with Taco Bell food and Chipotle bags, and wished they could be served with each other. How I fell in love while in preschool with a girl with curly hair, and how I accidentally stole her first kiss. We re-met in high school, and she still didn't remember. How I fell in love with drawing at my uncle's kitchen table when he told me to draw my hand without looking at the paper. It came out looking terrible. How I fell in love with this dog who shared a birthday with my sister. His name was Pooh Bear, her favorite bedtime story. He died at age 16. How I fell in love with stories and writing when I met a man named Tolkien. I cried when I discovered he had passed away. I was 7 years old. How I fell in love with the Jedi Order and wished every day that I would be picked. Sometimes I still check the mail to see if they sent something from Coruscant. How I fell in love with dice and paper, the swearing of older adventurers as they spoke their way through a battle of steel with dragons. How I fell in love with re-meeting my brother from down the street. And he taught me how to be a strong man, a brave man, a warrior. I've named him Andadil, because we're nerds. He's just taller and better at growing a beard than me. I cried when he left for college. How I fell in love with a girl named Cecile, and how she broke my heart soon after our first kiss. She never got to give me her new address. How I fell in love with the culinary arts, but am certain that the oven plots my downfall. The sneaky bastard. I fell in love with a girl named Krista, how she broke into my room one night and I never found out how, and considering she's in prison at the moment, I don't want to. How I fell in love with firearms and have to defend myself from others, from the thought that we're psychopaths. Well, at least I'm not, I think. How I fell in love with the art of the sword in craftsmanship and in practice, even if I can only try it out at a LARP. How I fell in love with an old friend named Amy, but acted rashly and scared her off. We were still good friends. I miss her now sometimes. How I fell in love with hating myself for my weight, my looks, my glasses, my failure as a boyfriend, as a friend, as a monster. how I fell in love with hurting myself. 316, half on left, half on right. How I fell in love with the confusion I had with everything in my mind. How I felt lost when everything else seemed so clear. How everyone else knew what they wanted to do, which led to how I fell in love with a boy named Nicky, and how he fell in love with me back. Before I discovered he was a he, we still laugh about that sometimes. How I fell in love with a stranger from Scotland over a game of Minecraft. Mindsy for months over summer. Soccer, university or military. William Taylor, we miss you, brother. How I fell in love with YouTube, and to this day I'm trying to start one up, like UX. How I fell in love with my high school English teacher, a man named Life Mountain. You know who you are. My father, when the one at home just didn't quite understand. How I fell in love with a crazy dude named Justin, whose life moved fast and dangerously. I helped bury him not too long ago. A pallbearer for a closed casket funeral for his parents. How I fell in love with a girl from Tennessee. She called me Bear because I wasn't soft enough to be the toy. How I fell in love with the fact that she ended up dating a good friend of mine from New Hampshire. And I hope they're so happy together. We're still good friends, though. How I fell in love with his ex-girlfriend from Germany. A girl I called Angel. How I fell in love with her ups and downs, and how intimate we were despite thousands of miles. How I fell in love with how she loved my poetry, and how I loved her fire, how we were both artists, and how we were so close together. How I fell in love with how much I was afraid for her when the downhills became cliffs. She would feel so low, depressed beyond anything I could do to help her. How I fell in love with the addiction of the roller coaster. Up hills in my mind so exciting, but somewhere in the back the growing fear of maybe the downhills is this time we derail, and the downhills more terrifying and heartbreaking than anything I'd ever felt before. How I fell in love with the concept that maybe she would be okay if just once I could make her smile, until one day I couldn't reach her anymore. Have you ever fallen in love with someone who has begged you to let them die? Have seen them suffer so much that their mind is too far to reach. She believed that how I fell in love with her was a lie, and that I had been set up to watch her fail. She had resigned herself to a delusion where I was here to be a false hope. She told me, I don't mind if it's not real, but could you please make it not so bad? She begged me to make it hurt less. And I sat here, 3,739 miles away, I counted. And I couldn't do anything. How could I fall in love with the breakup? we couldn't do it anymore. She started therapy. I started work. We still talk. She started to smile again, and I feel like in some way, maybe I did make it less bad. Maybe I was the bad. How I fell in love with being her friend again. And hearing how she started to like a girl at school, hearing her excited again, it makes it a little easier to handle what came before. How I fell in love with being alone with a few friends. One in particular never leaving my side. This was a story about how I fell in love. How I fell in love so many times in my life. How I might be falling in love once more. A submission to the Nowhere Press. Curious. I have to get one of the boys to check this no envelope. No letter, no information. That doesn't help me. How am I supposed to alert them that they've been accepted or not? Oh well. Not much to be done now. A submission is a submission. I'll just have to check down with the boys. See if they forgot to hand me something of this person's submission. Who knows? They might just get on the show.